Hi, I'm back. Okay, let's continue our discussion about this badging worksheet, which is worksheet number 4, demonstration of basic functions. A few minutes ago, I took you as far as summing, future value, present value. I'm now going to wrap up the lecture by talking about these next several here, okay? Again, go back to the previous video if you want a general discussion about what functions are and how they operate and what they do for us, but they do wonderful things, trust me. Okay, as you can see if you're watching this immediately after the last video, I have closed our formula builder, so I'm seeing my full spreadsheet again. Now the next one we're going to do is this one, count, okay? For different reasons, if you're averaging, if you are interested in compiling statistics, you're going to want to count a whole range of values, okay? Now we happen to know that there are 15 different values here. I'm going to use this little subsection, this group of cells, as my example. Now, we already know that there are 15 of them, right? Okay, but let's say we don't. For any reason, we want to make sure we have a good, accurate, quick count. Let the computer do it for you. So the count function does that for us. So if I want to know how many cells are involved in a whole wide range, even hundreds of cells, I already know the value 15 should be returned to me here. So I'm going to put it here, okay? So I'm going to type in, I'll use my keyboard this time. Let's give our little formula builder a rest. I'm going to type in count, okay? And it asks me, well, Alan, we can do a lot of different counts here. Which one do you want? Okay, the only one I'll get into at the moment, because these are introductory lessons toward our first badge, is the one that says basic count. When I click on it, when I left click on it, it gives me parens. And those parens are Excel's way of saying, okay, Alan, you told me what it is you want. Tell me where you want it applied to. I want it applied to the range starting at B15. I'm going to left click and hold and drag all the way down to B29. Excel, please tell me how many values there are in that range. I release the left mouse button. I click. And as we knew, there are 15 of them. That's a nice simple demonstration of the count function, okay? All right, the next one we'll do is SQRT. Now, once in a while, you hit one like count or sum. That's very clear about what it is that it does. SQRT, if you're not a math slinger, might give you a moment of pause. It simply means square root, okay? Now, the square of a number is when you take that number and multiply it by itself. If you take 6 multiplied by itself, you get 36. 5 times itself is 25, okay? Square root is a way of working backwards, saying if I have a number 25, what is the square root? Well, it's that number which, when multiplied by itself, gives me the number I start with. So the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 9 is 3, okay? Now, those are easy ones. If it's a nice round square number, we know them right off the top of our heads. We know that 8 times 8 is 64, so therefore the square root of 64 must be 8. Okay, but sometimes it's a number that is not so round, okay? You can solve it with a financial calculator. You can solve it by a longhand method that I have forgotten since my junior year of high school. Don't even ask me when that was. And we can also use this function square root. So if I type in a number, it's going to tell me what the square root is. The number that when multiplied by itself will give me the number that I begin with. Okay, so let's test it. Let's type in equals sign SQRT, parens, type in 81. We know that the square root of 81 is going to be 9, right? Okay, so now let's do one that's not so easy, that we don't know. Now we know that the square root of 36 is 6, and we know that the square root of 49 is 7. So if I want to find out the square root of, let's say, 42, we know that the answer is going to be somewhere between 6 and 7, right? Okay, so let's try it. Let's test it. I type in equals sign SQRT, parens. Okay, and I'm going to type in 42. I'm going to close my parens, and my answer had better be between 6 and 7. And it is. 6.4807407, that probably goes way, way out to the right as a repeating, maybe even an infinite decimal, okay? But here in business, we're only concerned with the ones that are most significant. So if I take 6.480747 times itself, you can see I come pretty darn close to 42. If I add some decimal places, I might find that it's 41 point something something something. Okay? So the square root of 42 is 6.4807. Now you will use that function. You will use that function in Dr. Madani Najat's stat course, Dr. Michael Fishbein's stat course. You might use it in Professor Kim Barry's ops management course, and you will use it in a simple fashion in my finance course. Okay? All right, very good. The next one is called average. I'll give you 3 guesses what that does. It gives you the simple average, and there are many averages, but it gives you the simple average of a range of numbers. Why don't we take these 5 numbers here and find out what the average of those interest numbers in years 1 through 5 is? Okay? How about we use our old friend, the formula builder, for this one? Where would that be? Average might be under math and trig. No, it's not. Oh, let's try, see that last one, more functions? Well, we use average in statistics a lot, so let's click on statistical. Now look at all these. You've got one for finance, logic, text, dates, math, stat, engineering. All right, there are so many different functions. It's amazing. It's staggering what Excel can do. There's our friend average right there. I'm going to left click on it. And there's our formula builder. Okay? So I'm telling Excel, I'm telling the formula builder, take a range and show me what the average is. I just highlighted them, and you can see here in the parens, B15 through B19, that could have been 100, could have been 300 values. Okay? And I click on done, and my average is 43.33. Okay, I'm going to close my formula builder for a moment. Am I surprised by that number? Well, let's think about it. We know that this number is growing every single year, a long time. It looks like the midpoint is around 43 and about 26 cents. So, since it's growing constantly, I would expect my average to be slightly above 43.26, and it is. All right. Remember, friends, pause me at any time, rewind me, fast forward me, stop, experiment, and make sure you play with these numbers. As long as you save a copy in your files so you can recover it if need be, you can't do any harm. Play with this thing, experiment, and go crazy with it, okay? Because that is how we learn. Next, we have date. We can perform all kinds of date functions, and that can be very handy. All right? So, let's see, for example, we'll use the formula builder for this one. Date, okay? Pick an important date out of your past. Let's use August 15th of 1983. I'm going to come up here to my taskbar and click on date and time. I'm going to select date. That's one I use quite often. Now, please remember, a lot of times Excel is going to tell you, I think you want to use this function. Why? Because if there's one tool in your toolbox, like a certain size wrench that you use a lot, well, it's going to be near the top of the toolbox, isn't it? Because you're reaching and grab it often. Same thing with Excel. Many times you're going to find that Excel is going to say, I think you want to use date, even though there are many date functions. Okay, I'm going to use a very simple one. Let's take 1983 as my year. See what I'm putting in the formula builder. I put the month, 12. I put the day, no, I'm sorry, I said August, didn't I? Let's use 8, and let's, for the day, use the 15th. Okay, I click on done, and you can see, I'm going to close my formula builder, that the computer knows it's August 15th, 83. I can express that date in any one of a number of ways. I just right-clicked on that cell. I come down to this one line that we're familiar with, Format Cells. I left-click on it, and I click on Date. It's already there. I can express my date with all these different appearances. I happen to pick this one. Okay? Now, you can do all kinds of mathematical functions using dates. For example, today might be August 15th, and my birthday is December 8th. And you might say, well, I'd like to get something nice for Professor Allen, so how many days do I have left to shop? Okay, so you can enter a date, December 8th. You can enter another date, August 15th. Subtract, and it will tell you how many shopping days you have left. I'm not asking you for a gift, but if you're so inclined, it's December 8th. Okay? All right, very good. As we often do, come up here and click on Save, or you can, on an Apple, hold Command and hit S. It will save for you. On a PC, you can hold Control and hit S. However you do it, make sure you save very often. Okay, 2 more to go, friends. Next one is max. As the name implies, you might correctly assume that it means find the highest value in a range. Okay, so let's say you've got a range of numbers. I don't care how big. 3, 5, 7, 1700. It doesn't matter. If you want to take a whole list of numbers, a whole range of numbers, and have Excel find, I should say, what the highest number is, okay, this is the number that you'd use. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly put in a whole ton of numbers here. Okay, now we can see just on a quick scan that the highest number is 95. But if this list were 17 or 1800 numbers long, for statistical reasons, you might want to find what the highest value is. You might scan that big list and miss it. So rather than trust your eyes, what we're going to do is we're going to say to Excel, and let's use our formula builder. Click on More Functions. I believe it's statistical. It is. There's Max. Hi, Max. All right. I'm going to click on Max, invoke my formula builder. I'm going to take my mouse and come over here to this range I just typed in. If it works, the number it should return to me, the highest value in that range, should be 95. I click on Done. There it is. It worked. Let's get cute. Let's change one of the numbers. Okay, now remember, this formula is fixed. It's there. So if I were to change this number to 97, then this value should change to 97 in cell location E30 also. And it does. Okay? All right, and the very last one I want to leave you with today is going to be this one, STDEV.S. That stands for Standard Deviation of a Sample. Oh, sounds complicated, doesn't it? No, it's quite easy. Okay, now in math and stat, you have to know how to do standard deviations, but in business, we need them as well. Not just for measurement of different samples that we're testing using stat techniques, but in finance, for example, we use it to assess values of stock. We use it to assess risk of stock that you invest in. In general business, if you work for a company like General Electric, they use what's called a Six Sigma program. It's very common in business, and what it simply means is that if you use all of the techniques and math and discipline properly, and you manufacture components, say, and you make 1 million of them, then if you've used proper techniques, you can only find 3 bad products in that entire batch of 1 million. 3 out of a million. That's pretty good, huh? So it's important that general business people be completely aware of how to use standard deviation as well as statisticians. All right, it's useful. The good news, it's also quite easy. Even though the name doesn't sound very easy, the formula doesn't look easy, I guarantee it is. Okay, now, let's assume that I've got a whole bunch of values. You own a company, and your company makes a certain amount of money every year. Sometimes it's higher than others. and you come to me and say, Alan, I want you to invest money in my company, and you will make money on your money. That's why I invest. So I say, okay, how much can I expect to make from you? And you say on average 10%. Okay, I then say, how much do you make in your worst years? You might say 2%. How much do you make in your best years? 18%. Wow, that's a big range, right? So I could make as little as 2% or as high as 18%, but I hope I'm going to make 10%. All right? So what is standard deviation? It's a math technique, I won't get into any further than this, that tells me how likely it might be that even though I expect 10%, I might make as little as 2 or as much as 18. Making less or more than you expect is how an investor defines risk. It's very important to us. It's important to you as a person who will be managing your own money. So let's assume that you make sometimes 2%, sometimes 4%, sometimes 6%, sometimes 7%. Other times you're right on the money with 10, 11, 12, 18, oh, 1 year you even made 20. Okay? So anywhere from 2% to 20%, that's our range. We need a way to evaluate the risk that we won't make the 10% that we are expecting. Okay? Now, I won't tell you any more than that about what standard deviation does. That will be for your stat class, your math class, or my finance class. Okay? What I can do is I can tell you, if I'm evaluating, how many values do I have here? 9 of them. If I wanted to spell this out in my class about how to calculate standard deviation, I would have to use 9, 10, 11 rows and 5 or 6 columns. Using one cell, I can get Excel to do all that for me. So I'm going to come up here, I'll use my formula builder, statistical, let's go find stdev.s. There it is right there, I click on it. Okay, I'm going to give it the whole range of returns that your company has generated over the years and say, what is the standard deviation of all those numbers? Come and visit me in finance and I'll show you why it's important to your money. Okay, I'm going to hit that magical done button on my formula builder, and my standard deviation is 6.0622. Okay, once again, Professor Fishbein, Professor Barry, Professor Madani Nijade, or I will explain to you the mechanics of what it does after that. I'm going to come back to home and click on it. And just to indicate that this is the important stuff that we walk away from at the end of today, I'm going to do the usual thing that I do in my classes that my students are accustomed to and highlight it in yellow, okay? Same with the values that I used. All right, that's a nice range of material that we covered today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you find this helpful. Please study it. We will be working toward another proficiency test for our Excel Basic badge in the very near future. So be watching for more postings. I will also post this worksheet that I've saved. And in the meantime, please make sure you write to me at this address if you do have any questions. Okay? Please have yourselves a wonderful week in the meantime, and I'm signing off now. Bye-bye.